say, Boris, take Whitney Houston. We need you to mix it, or whatever records were being offered at that time?
Oh, tons. I would get calls all the time. I mean, to do remixes and stuff like that. And I did them, my early days before that, a lot, I was doing actually a lot of like commercial remixes during like the early days of like, because I had a partner, his name was Beck. We went Boris and Beck. And we did a lot of different records from Britney Spears, Ricky Martin, Gloria Estefan, the Pinks, the list goes on. We did all those commercial remixes and that. So I was kind of like already into that, into the world of dance mixes, but with those type of those type of A&Rs. It's just when I went to the like more towards the Crowbar, during Crowbar and Pasha, is when I focused more on the underground stuff. Like and then I started doing my own stuff because we went our separate ways, and then I just went and did my own stuff at the time, and doing different remixes for different artists, and making different tracks. I mean, so I focused more on the underground stuff during that period.
So you're making basically records that you want to play for your crowd.
Correct. Because when I was making those records, I was not playing them.
I was going to ask you.
I wasn't playing them.
Commercial product.
Wasn't doing it. Wasn't playing it. Truthfully, it was a cash grab. That's what it was. Because at the time, when you were doing big mixes for big labels such as Sony and Epic and Universal and whatever, they were paying you a lot of bread. A lot.
Well, yeah, and you have to clear, but yet that means you're getting these very pop sounding records, and you kind of have to translate and become somewhat of a good dance mix to it, per se, right? How do you go and say, I'm going to play this for 5,000 people that I know I play underground, like a Razor and Guido record? It ain't going to happen, right?
It wasn't happening, and it wasn't playing them, and I was just doing them to get paid. That's really the reality of what it was.
Get that cash cow. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
I mean, listen, when Sony's coming to you and say, can you do a remix for $12,000? Sure.
I can't do that for that money.
The first, like, I remember the first remix we got hired for. It was a Sasha record, but believe it or not, and it was for like $5,000 in like 90. I don't even know, 4, 5. No, actually it was like 96, 97, and I'm like, okay, this is easy. And then from there on in, because there was not a lot of guys doing that, and the guys that were doing it were getting paid. Like, as you know, Lenny, I mean, it was, I remember guys getting 20, 30 grand a clip to do a remix. And
it only got 100,000. We all sat back and went, 100,000 for a remix? Holy shit.
I was like, damn, 20, 30K. I was like, holy shit. I was happy to do them for 10 back then. You imagine, man?
Can you wait, and knock out 4 or 5 a month? No problem.
Oh, can you imagine getting 10 grand a remix now?
Oh God, I would scream.
The label, every A&R would be fired at the every major label, right?
They wouldn't last a week. Forget about it. Could be out the door.
What a time.
Oh yeah, that's another glory part. That was a big hardship when 9/11 happened, because not too long after, those dance departments in New York were all scrapped.
Oh, scrapped.
Let me breathe that in, everybody. This is one thing that's making me remember all these great things. Oh my God.
Bringing you back, huh?
Because the thing is, you would say, now I'm a DJ, so I would get a record from, say, Boris and Beck, and I went, he ain't playing this.
Nah, I ain't playing this.
I know what he's playing. I know what I'm playing. There's no way he's playing. He's making these records for who?
I mean, I wasn't playing any Britney Spears remixes at the Roxy.
No. But maybe what you would have done was take one word, one part, make
There
this
you go.
dub track, and
A
go
dub
this
track.
drum song.
But back then, you're not getting hired to do a dub track because the artist wants a full remix of their song. Because back then, those artists had a lot of say in remixes and approving them, as you know.
Recall.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh no. How many times I heard that one?
Boris, we need you to go back in and recall the mix.
Oh man.
What does that mean exactly when you're recalling?
Oh man.
This recall. What that means is, so he sends up the mix to the A&R man who hired him. And they hear the mix and they ring the phone. Boris, listen, I love you, man, but this is just not what we're feeling. You're like, how do you handle that? You got to now go back in again and start reprogramming, right? You have to try to figure it out.
Yeah.
Or they think they heard something someone else did. Now they want you to do what that record's doing. It's like, no, but that's not what you do.
No. Yeah, it was yeah. I look back at it now and I'm like, wow, like all the work, all the like hours upon hours of that doing that.
What would you say your best work was that you're really proud of, from that era?
From that era, I would say Pink. I remember it went number one, our remix. It was Get the Party Started. Remember that song? So it was a remix for Pink. So it was a number one record. Our remix went, and I'd say that was probably one of my favorites back then because Pink was hot at the time and she was not so poppy where you could not play it at a party. Like, that to get, that particular track was actually being played in clubs, Get the Party Started.
Right. I remember that record. I remember
it
played.
Yeah, so it was played, and I actually played it, and it was a great track. But yeah, I mean that was
okay
during a.
So Boris got this kind of power in New York. You got 5, 10, 15,000 people that you could play a record and break it. Is Boris thinking? I'm going to talk in third party. Is Boris thinking about making a record that possibly could become a hit himself yet at that time? Or you just loving the remix world thing?
No, I mean, of course, you're thinking about making a hit record and taking it to the next level. And I wasn't doing any more remixes. I was on my own, and during that whole era of the Crowbar Pasha era, the golden years. I call it because that's what they were. Yeah, I mean, and then I transitioned into doing underground records.
That's what I want to hear about.
And
why did you transition to doing underground records? I'm gonna be the devil's advocate. Why would you do such a thing?
Well, the reality is I wasn't into those commercial remixes, and like I mentioned, it was just a cash grab, and I wasn't playing them. They were just whatever. And I didn't want to be known as the guy, oh, Boris, the underground DJ, but he's doing these pop mixes. And no, I didn't really want to do it. It wasn't in my heart. I kind of went my own way. And, especially it was a whole, like, like those clubs were underground clubs, even though they were big rooms, you were playing masses, but it was underground music. So they were not coming to hear a Britney Spears remix. They were coming to hear like some banging underground, shit. And so I was like, I can't make those kind of records anymore. So I just started doing like, my whole thing was I started doing a lot of tribal house records. That was like my thing, during my kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Like moving up in the game, like everyone knew me as like me playing tribal. Like that was my thing. Like all the parties that I was playing, it was like I was always into the tribal sound. That was my thing. Drums and like I always loved it since day one of music. Uh, I remember just going to Sound Factory and listening to Junior, and he was, he's big into tribal. So that's how I became kind of like, more into that sound. And that's what I was playing. And during the Crowbar era and Pasha era, that's what, people knew me at. But of course, I transitioned to other stuff, like more techno stuff, harder stuff, big room stuff, whatever, I like to be versatile when I was playing, especially, again, resident DJ, playing open to close, not playing for 2 hours, like mostly what's going on now. So you had to pretty much play everything, like whether it's, house or tech house or tribal or some trance, whatever, whatever it is. So big room stuff. And yeah, that kind of got me into like doing like more underground records and stuff like that. And obviously transitioned into like more I would say like more like techno, more, just all across the board. I was all across the board. I one day I could do a techno record, a day, another day I could do a tribal record, another day I could do a house record. And that's really what my thing was. I just wanted to make good records, not like, oh, well, I didn't want to be labeled as the guy, well, he's a techno producer, or he's a house producer, or he's a tribal producer. Nah, I kind of wanted to be versatile, and that's what people knew me as. That's what I was known for.
Which part do we say now? As this underground thing is happening, are you starting to travel more? Is this where your life's taking you? Is this?
I mean, I travel not as much as I used to. I used to travel almost every week, but the game has slowed down a bit in terms of traveling. A lot of different markets are not the markets that we've known, to be at anymore. Those markets are gone. The promoters are gone. The crowd is gone. So you got to kind of like adapt to the new younger generation, and do whatever you got to do to grab them, and then. So that's, I don't travel as much, but I play as much, whether it's New York or Chicago or Miami or whatever, East Coast, more West Coast, the States. But I still do my share of traveling.
Okay, so now, of course, you've been doing this for a long, long time, couple of decades. Like I say,
Just a couple.
So COVID comes and bang, we all go into a complete halt. Okay? You can see he's very comfortable right now. He's going to tell you where he is right now. So COVID comes and life changes. What do you do, being that you've been so long in the game of the music industry? Where does this take you?
So during COVID, obviously the first thing to go was nightclubs and parties, and the scene was just literally done.
Decimated, right?
Dead silence, taken away, closed, no more traveling, no more playing music. That's it. Can't. So naturally, as a working jock, traveling one at that, saying to myself, what am I going to do next? Like, when is this over? This doesn't look like it's going to be over anytime soon. And just like everybody else, what are we going to do? Like, what do? You basically improvise, and you do whatever you got to do. And many people did whatever they had to do, whether it was stock market, different careers, different stuff, doing streams, doing whatever they had to do to earn. And ironically, I've had a home in Miami for the last 12 years. So during COVID, I pretty much was like, I'm out of New York. I'm going down south. And, for the most part, Miami was pretty much, it was closed for a couple of months, but it was open and people were doing whatever they doing, and life was going on as is
Sure.
here in Miami, in Florida, period. So, I started hanging out with many different people, with those people being on a boat. And a lot of those people had yachts. And I was never into boats, never really cared for them. They were just whatever to me. So I just kind of got into like hanging out on different people's boats and stuff like that, and having like, because that's all you could do here in Florida, like here in Miami. Like, what else you could do? There was, just go on the water and just hang with your friends and play music or hanging out or whatever. And I just became really, really intrigued by the whole boating thing. And I said to myself, wait a minute. Like, I have such a big network of people. I know so many people that come down to Florida, come down to Miami, party, do this, do that, come, go out, go on boats, whatever. And I've rent boats, parties, whatever. And saying to myself, let me buy a boat. So sure enough, I hooked up with one particular guy. We got a small boat. Didn't really work out. But the whole thing was me eventually getting a bigger boat to do charters, and I started actually doing side charters with the people that I became friends with, like chartering out their boats. And they had big boats, 70, 80 footers, big yachts, and people were coming down. And it was easy for me. I'd make one or two calls and, hey, listen, you're into, they're coming down to Florida, whatever. Let me know. You need any boats? I got you, and sure enough.
Wait, everybody, listen to that. I got you. That's that hustler. Here we go. Got you, baby. Don't worry. You come now. You get party. You get a party.
I got you. There were guys, believe me, like I was talking to guys and they were scrambling. A lot of DJs, a lot of guys in the industry, they were gone. They were getting jobs. They were doing whatever they got to do. Driving Uber, doing deliveries, whatever, man, doing streams, which I did streams as well.
Yeah, we remember you did them. I know.
Yeah, but everybody did streams. It was just, but to me, like, I needed to make real money. And that's just the reality of it. Like, I wasn't looking to make a couple of dollars here and there. So, by me and the network of people I knew, I just started getting into the boating world and knowing a lot of people, and a lot of people were coming down and renting boats. And then I was just like, you know what? At the same time, I'm looking for my own boat, my own yacht to buy. And sure enough, something came up, and I purchased my own yacht, and it's been amazing. I mean,
Can I make a joke?
You can.
Go ahead. Let me make a joke, everybody. My name is Elmer Fudd. I have a yacht. I'm a millionaire. I have a yacht. And this reminds me, I am so impressed for you that you were able to buy a yacht, bro. God, but I say that in a very loving way, is because it was a very tough time for everybody, and you made something out of nothing happen.
So pretty much, the money that I saved during the years,
smart man.
I was, I said to myself, what can I invest in that I will make my money back? I said, and it's buying a yacht is like buying a house.
That's exactly right. I was gonna say.
That's what it is. The maintenance work and all that. But the difference between that is that yacht makes you a lot of money. as opposed to the real estate where unless you're doing rent, unless you're Airbnb-ing your house or you
Sure.
do. But in the boating world, because let's be real, I mean, you look outside the window and you're in Miami and people love coming down here. It's warm, 365 days a year for the most part.
Right.
Sunny, it's hot. People love coming down here. It's a quick flight, and people love going on the water. Yeah, I mean, it's whether it's people a party, whether it's families, whether it's bachelorette parties, whether it's couples, whatever. Everybody, I've learned that everyone likes the water and everyone likes to be on a yacht.
Yeah, it's true. You're right.
And it's just so if you
So, so if I called you, Mr. Boris, and I want to book a charter, what's it roughly cost someone to do something at that level on your yacht? And how many hours is it in the whole spiel?
we usually do 4, 6, 8. By the way, my company and the boat's name is Supreme Charters.
Supreme Charters. Okay.
So
4, 6, or 8 people, right?
yeah, 13.
13 max. Okay.
13 max, but my boat, obviously, I've had 30, but they've been with me, But during charters is only 13 people. It's actually the law in Miami, so you can't do many more. Yeah, I mean, we do 4, 6, 8 hours. We do Bimini trips. We do the Keys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, pretty much the whole coastal of Miami. It's really it. It's
And for that per diem, what are we talking? If I wanted to book 8 people to come and hang for, let's just say 4-hour boat charter.
4-hour charters usually range from 2,500 and up.
Okay.
Pretty reasonable. You get
Very reasonable.
if you get like couples or some guys with some girls, $500-600 each. It's worth it. Believe me, because before I bought my boat,
Okay.
that's what I was doing. We were doing that. Like my friends and I, like we were all coming down here and going on boats every weekend and different boats and renting boats and it was just like, I mean, especially during COVID where you're either going to be locked up in New York in your house and do nothing, or you're going to be in Miami on the water on a yacht with your friends, drinking, having a good time, eating, whatever, listening to music, So,
Jesus. Wow. Here's a crazy question. Everybody talks about having these moments like everybody gets high or drinking. When was that moment you said, shit, I'm buying a boat? Because I know you must have said, I got to get a boat.
So basically, I mean, when I was, it was during like a time I remember like the season here is usually from like November to the summer, right? That's when the season kind of kicks in. But I started getting into it like in March, where it was real high season.
Right.
And everyone was like, yo, I need a boat. I need a boat. I need a boat. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, I'm making I have these people calling me for boats. Like I need my own. Like I'm kind of tired of like making someone else money when I could be making all the money.
Yeah,
that's really the reality of it. So that's really, while everything was down and the music scene was, clubs were closed and the music scene was, music business was shut and whatever, and people were playing in their pajamas, on like
television on YouTube,
streams in their pajamas with a cup of coffee, sitting down. That I was just like, man,
doing that. I ain't doing that. You said,
man, and I did some cool streams. Don't get me wrong. We did some really really cool ones in venues with like the whole lighting and visual and green screen and it was cool. But man, like it's not the same as playing for a crowd. Like it's cool to do a couple of them, but then it's like after the second hour, I'm like Lenny, like I'm falling asleep, man. I'm like, who am I playing for? The wall?
Yeah, because you're not getting nothing back. You just
Man,
you don't.
for the cameraman who's basically on his phone and just kind of doing nothing, like and yeah, it was cool, interact with like your fans online, and that was great, and I loved it. But I actually had more fun doing that than the actual stream because it's really like 3-4 hours of playing music, and you're like, all right, who am I playing for? Like, is there a vibe? Like, where's the people? Are they dancing? Like, what am I doing?
You're waiting for somebody to come. They don't ever come.
Like, man, I was just like, I was just like, when is this gonna end? I was like, wow. I'm like, and every time I felt like, damn, like when are the clubs coming back? And when is this coming? So sure enough, I had to do something, else in the meantime to generate
Cashola.
Yeah. And, listen, I talked to a lot of guys, a lot of big guys, and they were struggling and they got into this doing other stuff like playing the market and doing this and that's great. And if you chose to be like just to sit around and kind of do nothing and wait until clubs or the would reopen or whatever, then you had another thing coming because it took what 2.5 years for everything to kind of get back into it. Clubs were open.
Yeah, I didn't look out to my first gigs in January this year. It was,
yeah, it's just listen, I'll be honest, I was doing some underground clubs and warehouses in Florida, in Miami, because it was open, but you couldn't really, some other cities you couldn't really do that.
Nope.
They weren't having it, and if they were cops are coming in and shutting you down. I saw it. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to get arrested to play this dingy after hours. So I'm like,
that's what I told people too. The same for me. I said, I ain't going to get my ass arrested. I stay right home.
Because that's what was going on. They were coming in and busting people up.
Boris, you want to come back into the game like you had it before? Do you really, or do you like the way you have things set up now?
Well, things are good. I'm playing on a real consistent level still. Still doing big events. We got a pretty big event coming up October 22nd at this new venue in Manhattan, Club Vision. Then we're doing a Legends party. Me, Kenny Dope, Oscar G, Mark Knight at the Knockdown Center. Plus doing other different cities of playing all over. So we're still doing big events. Not just more picking and choosing the events nowadays, as opposed to like doing a underground warehouse for whatever, doing that. Plus I gotta be honest, I'm like, super busy. The boat thing has taken off,
That's why I asked you.
We're super busy. We average, now, the slowest season is September, October, and we're doing about close to 2-3 charters a week. High season, we were doing 5-7 a week, and sometimes 3 a day. Like Saturday, Sunday, we were doing triples, doubles and triples. Like we would do like a 12 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 12, or so it's a great business. Again, if you got the network and the means, but it's a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of dealing with like being patient with clients and stuff like that. But
are you boat? Are you on the boat at all, or you just?
Yeah, I go here and there, like not often because we're always busy and the boat's always out. Thank God. So I'll go on with some friends here and there, or my wife and I will take it, and just go out for a little bit, few hours here and there. But no, I concentrate mostly, having it charted.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
She's a cash cow. Getting that money in.
Yeah, baby.
I think we covered everything. I think we covered everything. We all love you, Boris, and congratulations to the amount
Thank
of
you. Thank
years. And I know you're not stopping. That's why I asked you that question if you were still going to forge forward with what you're known for, playing out, traveling, and doing your thing. I guess you're going to be smart about it because of the business.
There you go. You got to be smart about it. Thankfully, you know, I was able to save some shekels during my years, and pretty much kind of found my calling after the music business, because I do what I do. I play out,
Yeah.
and then you know and truthfully, I'm in the process of purchasing another boat, a bigger one now,
How
an
big?
80 footer. So I got a 60 footer now, and I'm about to purchase an 80 shortly. So yeah, I mean, it's a great business. I mean, what's there not to love about being in Miami on a boat, and the boat generates income.
Listen, everybody.
And you just like shake your head.
We should all have his problem today.
Yeah, you got to come down, man. You got to come down.
Oh, I will. I will come and see you. I mean, I'm just so proud of you that you're able to do this and revitalize yourself in a completely different way and still keep the music going, because I know you love it. Come on, you love it like all of us do.
It'll never go away. I mean, it's just in your blood. It doesn't just go away. I love the music.
Oh,
love the whole scene. I love playing for people. I love it all.
are you still pushing Transmit Records? Are you still pushing that hard?
Of course, where Transmit Recordings is the label. I mean, we've had some pretty big releases with anywhere from like someone like a Method Man, to Ghostface Killer, to different guys, to different artists. I have a new release out now with Oscar G. I have a new one coming out with Salida. That's coming out actually next week. And Tom Steffen. But I mean, we've been going strong for 7 years. That has led me to also my radio show, Transmissions, which we're going on year 6, and we've had everyone except you, Lenny. We haven't had you. Maybe we got to have you. We've had everyone from the Hot Since 82s to the Paco Tunas to you name it, David Roger, everybody has done the show.
I'd love to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to have you. It's actually syndicated in close to 100 countries. And it's we get close to about, I would say, depending on who the artist is, it's a weekly show. I do once a month, and the other 3 weeks are guests.
Okay.
Depending on who the artist is, we do from anywhere between 2,000 and 8,000 to 10,000 plays a week.
Wow, wonderful.
Yep. Yeah. Check it out. Transmissions.
You see that? Everyone, check it out. Transmissions.
Yep. SoundCloud, Mixcloud, wherever.
Well, you got my vote, dude.
There you go.
Not this after. I think we covered. Is there anything else? Oh, you covered everything.
Covered everything.
You have any children yet?
No kids.
That was the question I had, because I know you've been married for a while. I was wondering if any kids are around.
No kids.
Okay. Then we covered everything, children. Because he's not going to grow up. That means I'm not going to grow up. We're going to keep going. And
we're keeping going, baby.
We're not growing up. I refuse to grow up. I did not sign on for that part getting old. That's not part of it. Out. No, thank you, everyone, for joining us in True House Stories, and our man Boris. Boris, don't leave us. You'll catch us on the next episode, of course. I'll let you all know who I got coming up. We got a lot of great guests. And, of course, Boris, You rock the house.
Thank you.
Have
Thank
a
you.
great day, everybody. Great night. Thank you.
Wait,
And thank you all for tuning in. Peace.